Hey guys, my name's Aaron Massey. This week I'm going to show you how I upcycled an old door like this one into a matching coffee and end table. I've got a couple old doors lying around the house that I pulled out of the master suite that I've been saving for a while. I don't really have a use for them, but I didn't want to throw them away. So I came up with the idea of making a coffee table and an end table out of a single door and seeing what I can come up with. Now, this project's going to be a little bit more freeform than my typical projects, only because I haven't done any initial planning or anything, and I don't really know how I'm going to do it or what it's going to look like, but I'm confident I can come up with something. Let's just get right into it, and here we go. The first thing that I'm going to do is remove the old hardware off the door itself. The door that I'm using is a 28-inch solid wood door. You need to make sure that if you're going to do something like this, you're using a solid wood door and not a hollow core door. It's usually pretty easy to tell just based on the weight and the age of the door. If it's a really heavy door, it's probably a solid wood door. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use my router to remove the millwork on the panel inserts. I'm thinking I'd like to inlay some scrap wood inside the panels to bring the panels flush with the top of the door, so it's a nice level surface for a tabletop, and that will also give me an opportunity to add a little bit of a design element to the tabletop. Using the router to remove the millwork worked, but it also kind of sucked. It didn't give me quite the straight, nice square lines that I was looking for. I made a little track for the router to follow out of a piece of scrap wood so I could go back and forth across the panel and bring down the raised panels, and it worked, but it was just extremely slow. So I think for the next one, I'm gonna try something different. I might use my oscillating tool and try to take out the millwork that way. For now, this one I'll just clean up with the hand plane and the sander, and then I'll focus on mocking up the design element of the top. So I've decided to go with a little bit of a chevron style as far as the panel inserts go. I'm gonna make those out of scrap wood that's 3/4 inches thick. I'm gonna cut each piece at a 45-degree angle on the chop saw and piece them in as I go along. I'll do the same thing on the other panel when I get to that so that it's kind of a chevron look with the center style dividing the two panels. Once I have the pieces cut for this side, I can glue them in place and then move on to the next step. As the glue dries, I can scrape off the excess before focusing on sanding down the inlays. I used my sander to try and take down the inlays, which took forever. It was not the right way to do it. So next time, I'm gonna use my hand plane to take it down so that I can save myself some time. I was thinking I would keep this thing a little bit distressed looking and just sand off spots and things, but the colors that they have painted on this door are hideous. They got white, neon green, and like a beige, and it just looks like crap. I don't like it. So I'm gonna strip it all off and start from scratch and come up with something else. I'm either gonna stain it, maybe make it look distressed again, repaint it and make it look distressed, or come up with some other plan because I can't stand these colors. I'm just gonna strip all this off using some stripper and then start from scratch. With most of the paint off, and since I learned the router was way too slow the last time, I'm switching over to the oscillating tool for the other panel, and it works way better for this. I'm able to make a nice clean cut and get the millwork out really easily. For the inner panel, I decided to just use my hand plane to take down the raised area to make it nice and flat, and then come back in and clean it up with the sander later. Now that the panel's all cleaned up, I can go back in and cut the inlays the same way that I cut the other ones on the miter saw, and then glue them in place. Once they're dry, I can come in with the hand plane and take them down nice and flush with the rest of the tabletop, and then I can clean up whatever's left over with the sander. So the bottom portion of the tabletop is pretty much finished. This will be the coffee table side, and the upper part is untouched. That's gonna be the matching side table. I haven't even started that yet. But I've been focusing on the bottom, and I'm pretty happy with the pattern, the chevron pattern that I've kind of laid out. And I've got it all sanded down and looking smooth, and I like the way that it looks. It looks nothing like what I thought I was gonna have when I came up with the idea of doing this. I thought I was gonna make a very rustic looking table. Instead, it looks pretty modern. And, you know, just happens when you wing it. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm actually gonna cut it. I'm gonna figure out exactly how long I want the coffee table to be. It'll be somewhere around 48 inches. And then I'm gonna cut it with the circular saw to length. Then I can focus on finishing the table top. Now you can't really tell that it was a door, so it's just a cool tabletop. So now I'm not really sure how I'm gonna finish it, what I'm gonna do with it, but I'll figure it out as I go. Since the door no longer looks like a door, I'm gonna rip it on the table saw to get rid of the hinge mortise, and then I'm gonna cut some scrap wood and fill it in where the areas where the cartridge lock used to be, and use some 3/4 inch dowels to fill in the holes where the handle used to go. I've decided I'm gonna do like a white, kind of a distressed white paint around the frame, and then the individual chevrons are gonna be a variety of different color stains. I got a bunch of different stains here that I've had sitting around on the shelves, and I don't really have an order in which I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna tape off each one and kind of stain them in a different variety and different look. Once they're all stained and dry, then I'll come back in and I'll paint the outside and then probably distress and make it a little bit beat up looking, and then I'll probably seal the whole thing with polyurethane. It's gonna need a couple more finish coats of poly, but otherwise it's finished. What I like about it is that it's unlike anything that I've ever done before in style. My stuff's a little bit more rustic, and for me to just be able to get into the shop and kind of spitball as I went and figure things out as I go was really fun. As I kind of was doing things along the way, it just kind of turned into what it is. And that's part of why I like doing what I like to do, is just get in here and just figure it out on the fly. And sometimes you come up with stuff that you never would have made otherwise, which is what this is. For the legs for this table, I'm just gonna use a basic steel hairpin style leg and let the tabletop be the focal point, and it'll just be kind of a very simplistic style. But now that I've got this done, I'm gonna wrap up the end table to go along with this, and then we'll have a matching coffee table, end table set that hopefully somebody will really enjoy. That's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun building this project. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Also, be sure to follow me on social media via the links in the description below. And if you want to buy these tables, I'm going to make them available on my Etsy store. You can find a link to that in the description below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. The first thing I'm going to do is test fit all the pieces together to make sure everything goes together as planned and to see the final shape. Next, I start working on the sockets for the light. Using a Dremel tool and a grinding wheel, I take down the threading on the inside of each 1 inch to 1/2 inch reducing coupling